Hello, I'm Willie Stevens.
And I'm Brandy Stevens.
And welcome to the Journey of Us podcast.
Okay. So, before we get into this, I truly think it's important for people to be able to see real life, real relationships in real time, understanding that, yeah, it's great. And yeah, you can build beautiful, successful marriages and commitments, but there's a certain level of work that's included. But we wanted to be able to show all facets and all sides of that so that maybe we can help somebody along this journey. Now, we are not, licensed therapists or anything like that. We're just here to tell our stories.
Yeah. And I feel the same way. I think it's more so of us showing our past, how we got to where we are, because a lot of people just assume that where we are is where we've always been. And I think it's important that they see that, no, that's not how this works. You can't start at 10. You have to start at 1 and you go through the process. And so I think that that's one of the major reasons that I wanted to be a part of this project, because I wanted to make sure that people have a realistic expectation of relationships.
I think so too, just the transparency of it all. Like, you get advice from people with, marriage, and they say, oh, it's going to be hard, but you really don't know what that heart looks like. And then what that heart is going to look like for you, because my heart and his heart is going to be different. So learning to kind of navigate through all of that. And then we want to show people that, so that you feel like if you're going through something difficult in your marriage, that you're not alone and there's nothing wrong with you. You just have to kind of work it out. And so we'll talk about some travel too, but at the heart of it is just transparency in beautiful relationships.
Yeah, because there is no, you can travel, but if you're upset with one another,
that's
you
not
may as well
fun.
be at home. So it's important to build a relationship before you leave, because if you don't build a relationship before you leave, it's just going to be a potential.
You're going to get at each other.
Yeah. We've done it.
So welcome to season 1, episode 1 of our Journey of Us podcast. Today, we're going to get into, I guess it's our love story.
I guess so. Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Met initially.
So where do we start?
How did we meet? And where did we meet?
So my recollection, because I know yours may be a little bit different, but we knew each other growing up in Bastrop, family, same circles in church and stuff like that. So we knew each other. You're younger than me, but we saw each other at church musicals and stuff like that.
I remember seeing you.
Yeah. No real interactions during that time, but...
You were the church girl. I didn't want the church girl. I wanted the sinner.
What? You didn't want the church girl?
Not initially. I want the sinner.
Okay. So, with that being said, he wanted the sinner. He didn't want the church girl. So, leads us to after you graduated high school. At that point, I think it was like 2001 in the summer, and I was working at Subway part-time, and in comes now Attorney Stevens. You weren't Attorney Stevens then.
I wasn't then, but I was still doing my thing back then too, though, so I will say that my recollection of things is my cousin and I, we went to Subway and was trying to get some cookies, and then I ended up seeing you, and I think put the game on real tight. I'm not 100% sure, but I do know I remember getting your phone number.
Yeah.
That's where everything started.
Everything kind of started from there. We were talking friends, and did we go out maybe a couple times? I really don't remember.
I don't think we went out initially. I think we just talked a couple times.
Yeah, but that came to a screeching halt because he let me know that he wanted to be with his ex-girlfriend, whose name is also Brandy. If you're out there, thank you so much. But he let me down, and I was hurt. At that point, I moved out to Grambling, but we stayed friends.
And I will say that, it was a different time in my life, looking for two different things at that time. I looked at you and I saw you as more of a long-term person, the person that you marry. But at that time, I really wasn't looking for a marriage type woman at that time.
Okay.
And so, I felt as if, if it's meant to be, it'll happen.
Yeah. And so what happened next? At that point, a lot happened. I left school, and then I ended up meeting who is my now ex-husband. I got married. and moved to Arkansas. I had a baby. Lots of things transpired for me during that time. And then that relationship didn't work out. So I ended up coming back home.
But before you get there,
Uh-huh.
you're saying you came back home, but I think I came from school one day and I saw that your vehicle was out there.
Okay.
Went up and knocked on the door.
You did.
Nobody was there though.
Okay.
And so every time I came back into town, I always drive by there because we stayed right around the corner from one another just to see if your vehicle was there.
Interesting. Okay. But at that point, back at home, went through that, through the birth of my son, and then one day, a couple years later, and at that point, my son was about 6 months old, and I saw your mother in Walmart.
Mm-hmm. I sent her
And
that for you.
you did. I saw your mother in Walmart, so imagine me, pushing the cart, baby in the cart, trying to get some diapers and stuff like that. And I see her, greeted her, and she's like, "My son been looking for you."
I told you.
I said, "What?"
This woman with a 6-month-old baby, I'm looking for you.
Yeah. And so I gave her my phone number, and then you called and we reconnected.
And I will say this. I feel that for the right person, you'll go against some of the things that you said you would never do, because I know I said I would never be with a woman with a child.
Yeah.
That's just one of my pet peeves. I was not going to do that. But I saw you as more than just a woman with a child. It was not like you were a person that I had never known. And then this person had a child. I had already known you, and I actually had a picture of you in my wallet for years, even though we had went our own separate ways. And so I knew that ultimately, this is the person that I wanted to settle down with. This is the person that I would like to spend my life with, because there is honestly in my mind at the time, there was a caliber of woman that you play with. And then there was another one that you stayed with. And so I felt as if I may have taken too long, but it worked out.
Yeah, it did. So we began dating. In the meantime, finalized a divorce, and actually the day that my divorce was final, because you didn't want to blur any lines or anything like that. We were just talking.
Yeah, you were ready to be my girlfriend. I was like, now you married. I don't do that type of stuff. My mama really different than that.
But you took me out the day that it was final.
Yeah.
Just wanted to make sure that was nice and
Clear.
yeah, it's nice and clear. So anyway, we started dating, and we dated a couple years before you asked me to marry you.
In the end, we got engaged for another year and
Yeah.
a half. We actually ended up getting married.
So at what point did you know? Because I've heard, and you've told me, like, a man knows. Like, they know if they're going to ask you, or if you're the person that they want to, spend the rest of their lives with. So, I mean, at what point did you know
Know what?
that you wanted me to marry you? Because I was ready and you was taking your time. I thought 2 years, like, come on.
I think it was more so me. I've always, I guess, been taught that a man needs to be able to take care of his wife or his family, because I knew at that point, I'm not just getting a wife where we can go vacation and globe trot. I can't do that at this point, because first of all, I didn't have much money. And then you had a child.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to make sure that I was 100% sure that I was willing to go through whatever it was going to take to actually be married to someone, to see the same person every day. Because honestly, I had never been in a relationship over 6 months. And so that was the scary part that I had to conquer, because I wasn't sure. But I will say that as our relationship continued to grow, as we started to date, and I started to see you not in the evening when you put your makeup on and all that, I wanted to see you in the morning. Can I deal with this person in the morning before she put her makeup on? Because everybody look good when they have their fresh face on. But I was able to experience seeing you. I used to come to your house early in the morning. We spend all day together, do different things. And so I wanted those experiences so that I can make sure that this is really what I wanted. But I think, ultimately, when I got to the point where I felt as if you made me better, that's when I knew it was time for me to marry you.
I'm trying to think.
And I don't know if there's anything that you actually did. It's just that being in your presence.
I feel like it was about you.
Yes, it
Yeah.
was. It's being in your presence made me want to have more so that I can give it to you. It's not even you asking me for something, because I think that probably would have stopped it if you started asking me for things. But it's just the very idea that I wanted you to have this thing. And I know that if I wanted you to have it, I need to do certain things. I need to make certain decisions so that I can provide those things for you. And they weren't much, but I just wanted to be able to do that. And when I got to that point where I felt as if you were the person that I wanted to do that for, then I was all in.
Mm. Okay.
Yeah, making you smile, ain't it? I know.
Okay. So I think one of our first challenges, especially during those early years of dating, I would say distance was a challenge
Yeah.
initially at one point because you moved to Texas, but that was toward the end of the engagement. I guess the other challenges would be navigating work life. I was still staying at home with my mom and I guess a young mother.
Yeah.
And so that was a whole nother situation, learning how to navigate through the processes of that and take care of him and looking for jobs and stuff like that. So that did have a direct effect on us and on our relationship. But yeah.
Well, I feel as far as the challenges, for me, I think early on, it really wasn't as challenging when we were dating. I think the challenge came when we got married. And we were two young, broke people trying to get married and live our life together and build something together. Some of the most difficult parts of it is me wanting to be that, I guess, this man that I had always desired to be, the provider, that type of person, and me not being able to do that, or me being able to do it on a much lower level because of the building, because I was trying to go to school in the evenings and still trying to work. It was very difficult. And I think that was one of the most difficult parts of our relationship initially, because when you have a lack of finances, it makes everything else more difficult to deal with.
Yeah, I agree. It increases the level of stress because when you have money or finances, you have more options.
Yeah.
You know, you have more access to things. And then when you don't, you have to kind of get creative about your coping mechanisms and then how you spend time together. And, you know, with that, it's very difficult.
Because I remember, in the beginning, we had to make determinations on whether or not we're going to go to church or not, because we didn't have enough money to put gas in our vehicle to go to work the whole week and still go to church, because the church was not right down the road from us. And so I completely understand that, when relationships break so early on, I think a lot of that at least our experiences, is because of the financial issues.
The other question was about family and what did they think?
Yeah.
For me, our family knew each other anyway.
Yeah.
So I think everybody just kind of knew each other and was okay and good. Now, my mom, I love her. Love you, Mom. She's just very overprotective.
Yeah.
And always.
She made it very difficult.
Okay. She did.
Remember I told you, I'm not going to jump into no books for your mama.
You told me that. Thing is, I feel like it could have been anybody.
Yeah.
It wasn't personal. I just think that she saw from that perspective that I was young. I had just gotten out of a marriage a couple years ago, young son, and she didn't want me to kind of jump into something else. And so I get it. I know it came from a place of love, but I mean, it still was challenging.
Yeah. Well, I would say that, I didn't really have that issue. My family, we're not like your family. We're much different. You all are more touchy-feely people. You want to talk all the time. We're not that, and so we're we're aloof. We love, we know we love each other, but we don't have to say it. I don't think my dad ever told me he loved me, but I knew he did. The sweat from his brow at the end of the day when he's worked 10 hours told me that we didn't have those type of problems because we did not necessarily have that type of same relationship that you all have. Because the only thing my mom asked me is this what you want? I said, yeah, this is what I want.
Yeah.
That was it.
Yeah. And I understand that too, because just thinking about where I come from, and since my dad died, it's just been like the three of us. And so it's like it's the three of us against the world. And so just trying to protect whatever that is, I think that's what she was trying to do.
And I would assume she would have been all for it because, everybody used to tell us that I look like your dad,
You
So
do. We should pop up a picture of him.
but your ex-husband did too.
I did. He did not look like my dad. Anyway, so what would you say, I guess, has stuck out, or I guess been something that you can carry with you since the early days, those earlier days?
Well, I think that I'll carry the difficult times with in knowing that if I can make it through that, this stuff here is small. We have what I used to call rich folks problems. I'm not saying we're rich, we're not rich yet. But what I'm saying here is that these things are not big problems. The problems to other people are not problems to us. And so that's what I carry from the early days, the stick-to-itiveness, the experiences where we learn that we can't tell other people what's going on a lot of times. This is our relationship, this is our marriage, and we have to work through the hard times ourselves and trusting in the other person to walk this thing called life through together.
Yeah.
That's what I'll take.
Yeah. I think for me, it's been kind of like what you said, your trust in me and our trust in each other. Because I remember when you finished college, you graduated college, and then you trusted me enough to bring me in a business meeting.
Yeah.
And it's almost like, little did I know that almost 20 years later, we're building something. We built a beautiful life together, but, in business together. And also seeing you early on just exemplify like that steadiness, like you've always been the same. And then the ability to want to step up and be there for my son and I. So that's something that has just, and when I knew when you did that, it's like, oh, okay, for real. So, but I never doubted it.
Our first episode where we discussed the early years right before marriage.
Yeah. Make sure you stay connected next time as we dig into the early years of marriage. So until next time, we'll see you on
The Journey of Us.